that was it. I wanted to die in my sleep or wake up and something must change. Well, here we are over 3 years later, and I wanted to bring you what alcohol, quitting drinking alcohol has done for me in my life. So if you're thinking about quitting or just got started quitting, this video might help you along your journey. October 18th, it was really hard. I woke up, I remember crying, calling my dad, and basically how it all happened was I went to AA once a day for about 14 days. They recommend doing a 90-90. It only took me 2 weeks to recognize how disrupted and how disorganized my life was. So consequently, I felt like I was strong enough to stop going to AA on a daily basis and stay home because I needed to start organizing, picking up the pieces and putting them back together one by one. So I did that, still attended AA meetings on a weekly basis, and then eventually became a monthly basis. And then I did, most recently went back to get my 3-year chip. Seemed to go back on a yearly basis at this particular point. But what has it done for me? So the biggest couple things I've super enjoyed about it was the fact that I don't feel nervous or scared to drive at nighttime anymore, or mid-afternoon. By that point I've already had alcohol in my system and enough that would get anyone a DUI. I was a relatively safe driver. I'm not gonna say it's good to drink and drive because it's definitely not recommended or legal in most countries, but yeah, for the most part I was pretty safe. But regardless, there was almost any time I would have left my house past 2 o'clock, sometimes earlier, I would be playing with the idea of a DUI if I would have got stopped for any particular reason at all. So that in and of itself was, that's one big relief, to not have to really worry about leaving and getting a DUI. That's a huge plus. The second biggest thing was saving money. I saved so much money. I did some calculations, some rough calculations. I spent over like $10,000 a year on alcohol. So I decided, if I quit drinking alcohol and change nothing else about my habits or the way that I live, I should have no less than 10 grand in the bank the next year. Well, long story short, I did spend about $5,000 or $6,000 more than usual that year, but I still had $9,600 in the bank. So all in all, I made the goal. I had 10K by the end of the first year sober. So that made year 2, which wasn't even planned. I honestly first said I'm going to try to make it for six months. The first couple weeks were absolutely the hardest. 6 months made it. I said, well, we're at like 8 months now. Came and went, so we went to a year. Now a year went, I made 10 grand. I had a company that was just really starting to take off now that I had time to be sober, and I took more time to focus on work. I used that as a way to keep me sober. Even though I used to drink at work at times, I for whatever reason said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to stop drinking, and we're going to continue to work as hard as I can. And without the alcohol, after I got through all the withdrawal symptoms, I was able to push myself harder at work, and consequently, that 10 that year ended up turning into 30, and then that 30 turned into 90, and then then I went on vacation. Now that 90 is dwindling down every single day, considering I'm not really running that company at this particular point anymore, due to some issues with the township and due to some mental issues here we have going on. I just don't want to run that company. But quitting alcohol has allowed me to understand and see my problems and connect with them in a real level, feel my emotions. That's another big thing. Emotions, I can finally, relate and attach to them. It makes it a lot easier for me to read other people's emotions as well as my own. I cry a lot. Not so much like all the time, but I do get in phases of life where things just hit me emotionally. Seems like every time I leave my grandparents' house, even a buddy in Florida, the first time I've ever been there, but I left their house and I was crying, just because I don't know when or if I'm going to see some of these people again, and it hurts to think that way, because I take a lot of my relationships pretty seriously. And then there are times where it doesn't feel so hurtful, I guess. I don't really know. It's just, it's part of the way I am. But the things that I found to be hard when quitting alcohol, the biggest things that I find hard are meeting like people. It seems to be a lot easier to get out of your comfort zone and kind of be, I don't know, I guess more outgoing sometimes when you're drinking. There is a phase there in sobriety where I was able to be more outgoing and confident, but that kind of died off. I guess it was similar like a relationship, you know, that 8-month to 12-month spot. I felt like almost euphoric that I was actually sober for this long. So it was, excuse me, it was really fun. Like, it was a lot of joy, but that euphoria kind of wearing off, and now it's just more like, dang, I'm sober. And seems like all the females these days, you know, enjoy drinking, which is cool. Like, I'm all right with that, but it's like the fact that I don't drink seems, I feel like it's a deterrent for them to want to hang out with me, because they think that I'm not going to have a good time with them, or we can't go to the bar and they can't consume whatever they want to consume, and I won't have just as much fun drinking, you know, Pepsi and doing whatever we do. So that kind of makes it, I find that to be the hardest thing personally. I say that's a struggle for me. If you have anything in the comments or any suggestions, please let me know. I mean, I'm glad that I don't drink, and I don't really have to worry about it too much at this point, but I do question every now and then, like, what it would feel like, or what it would be like to drink again, if it would just be okay to do it once. But personally, it's just not worth it to me. I don't want to go back to the person I used to be. I drank quite a bit of alcohol, and it's one of them things. I'm gonna have to make it to a certain place in life, and then that's even a stretch as to when I consider that I made it to that place, if what I would want to drink again. I mean, I don't consider it out of the question. I don't say I'll never drink again, but I definitely don't have any plans to in the intermediate future, and don't know when that'll happen. So I just hope that I can get through this house remodeling, finish that up, and get back on the road, because this shit sucks. I just don't like being at home. I feel like I can't provide the content I want to provide. I feel like I'm kind of trapped in my house, which really sucks. Even though I'm not trapped in my house, it feels like I'm trapped. And honestly, I just want to move on and get on to bigger and better things. So I'm just curious, what did you guys feel? How is your life going? What's your biggest successes and accomplishments, and what are you feeling you know, you'd like to improve or do differently that might change the trajectory of your life? So I appreciate all you guys staying to this point. If you are, you're a loyal subscriber, I hope, and if not, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll check out some of the other content we have. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I'm gonna put something over here for you, and hopefully it'll go along with this video. If not, well, maybe it'll still hit a bell or strike a chord that you might want to be interested in. So like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. Until the next one, peace.